How you doing?
Good. It's
It's
been a
been
few weeks.
Sorry?
It's been a few weeks. I missed my Friday discussion with Khaled.
Oh, thanks. No, yeah, it's been 2, 3 weeks, so let's get to it. A lot of questions from viewers, very educated viewers. Now that Toronto has instituted a mandatory vaccine for all city employees, will the city of Brampton be doing the same thing?
So we're going to have a conversation with our labor organizations, the ATU, QP, the Brampton Professional Firefighters Associations. And we'll have a presentation from Dr. Lowe and Dr. Mohammed, and then we'll have a council discussion on it. And so we're looking forward to getting feedback from city staff and our labor organizations and medical experts on what they feel is the best path forward to increase vaccination rates.
Cool. Do you know when that'll happen? Will that happen like early next week?
Well, it's going to be happening in the next few weeks. We're working with the clerk to set the time on the council agenda, but it's certainly one of the things we're going to be discussing.
Okay. What's your opinion on it? Would you like to see it, or?
Well, I want to get all the feedback first. I don't want to preempt the input from our labor organizations. What I would say is I want to arm the public with as much information as possible. I want to make sure they know what the medical stats are, about the fact that if you look at our hospitalizations, they are generally limited to those who are unvaccinated. At the same time, there could be legitimate reasons why people can't get vaccinated. So, how do you have a policy that encourages vaccinations that also has reasonable accommodations? And so, there's no simplistic approach here. And can you have testing for those that can't get vaccinated? Those are all the different angles we're going to look at. And so I'm hopeful that we're going to have an informed discussion as the city council, and we look forward to having that discussion soon.
Awesome. Obviously, you've heard of this little thing we're having in the country called the federal election. What would you like to see from the federal election leaders for Brampton?
So a federal election is a great opportunity to have conversations about what each federal party can do to help move the city forward. And so our city council will be coming out with a list very soon of our top 5 priorities that we're hoping the federal government can assist us on. So stay tuned. It could be being released as soon as next week.
Can you give me one?
LRT Phase 2. We want support for taking the LRT right into the downtown, into the GO Train. Council has identified a preferred route, which is a tunneled LRT through the heritage area of the downtown. And so that would be one of the largest ticket item.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Do you agree with the province pausing the reopening plan?
So I'm not surprised. I think there's some nervousness around the Delta variant. I'm glad that we're not going backwards. I think right now under stage 3, other than major events, everything else is relatively open. So I think we're in a good position right now. And so I'm not alarmed or surprised by the approach the province is taking in not having a broader reopening, because right now almost everything is open.
When can the city of Brampton actually lift the masking bylaws? Can you guys actually do that?
So right now, public health is not recommending lifting the masking mandates. As you know, I have pushed for some changes, outdoor masking requirements. Even that, the province hasn't agreed to. Under the Reopening of Ontario Act, there are some provincial stipulations that overrule local ones that require masking. Okay.
How are vaccinations going specifically for like 12 to 17-year-olds in Brampton?
Great. I know public health is really encouraged with the uptake of our young people and getting vaccinated. I think the highest cohort was those over 25, that 24 to 35 cohort, but yeah, even the 12 to 17, really impressive take-up.
Good. All we hear on the news right now is, fourth wave, and the fourth wave is going to be worse and stuff like that. Are you worried about school reopenings and, hotspots around the city?
So I'm not worried about a fourth wave because we have a largely vaccinated population. And so when we had previous waves of COVID-19, it led to the hospital being overrun because those who are unvaccinated would end up in the hospital. Now the segment of the population that is unvaccinated is very small. So I'm optimistic a fourth wave will have minimal disruptions to our economy. I don't foresee lockdowns again. I don't foresee school closures again. A lot of the school transmission was driven from community transmission that we're not going to see as much of. And further, I would add, when we saw transmission in schools, it was much more frequently in the high school level of schooling, and that 12 to 17 cohort will be vaccinated. And so I think the area we saw transmission in schools is now going to be protected.
So no lockdowns.
I'm cautiously optimistic that we're not going to see any more provincially mandated lockdowns. I think the public have done their part. They've got vaccinated in large numbers. And so I think we're in a relatively positive environment right now.
Good. How are hospitalizations at Brampton Civic right now?
Positive. The hospital's getting back to business. They're getting back to normal hospital. Sorry, a low battery warning. Pause my camera, but no, the hospital's getting back to business. They're getting back to doing what they do, normal hospital surgeries, and it's because they're not overburdened with COVID patients right now.
And I know this is the first time we talked for the last 3 weeks, and unfortunately we saw Bill Davis pass away. And I know you were very tight with him. Can you tell us, kind of a story, maybe that, the first time you met him and what you thought?
So I think he was a giant in Canada. It's a big loss for Brampton and to Canada. And the patriation of the Constitution, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. He drafted that and got that passed with Pierre Elliott Trudeau, the first Ministry of the Environment, the first Ministry of Housing. He was so far ahead of his time, it was remarkable. And he just radiated decency and kindness and generosity. So it's a sad day for our community when he passed away. The family had a private funeral on Tuesday. And I would just encourage everyone, Steve Paikin wrote a book about Bill Davis. Read that book and you can learn about a Canadian hero.
Awesome.
Share some examples that may not be as well known. I would look to Remembrance Day. My first Remembrance Day as mayor, I saw him standing in the crowd. I went over to him and I said, there is VIP seating for the veterans and for dignitaries. I said, can I, would you like to come and sit down? And he's very, very frail. He has his walker, not moving comfortably. And he said, no, I don't want to take a veteran's chair. I'll stand. Wow. And there's, just typical. He always thought of others. I remember going with him to get his COVID-19 vaccine, and we went into the building, and every person there he wanted to thank. He wanted to thank the vaccinators, the police officers, and just thank you for your service. He'd ask them, "Are you from Brampton?" And if someone said yes, then he'd say, "Good choice." And if they said no, he would tell them, "There's always time to move." But just a wonderful man.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing those stories, Mayor. I'll catch you hopefully next week, next Friday. Good. Yeah, okay. Awesome. Have a good weekend. Okay, take care.